Hello, virtual friends. Welcome back. Today is September 9th, 2020. And today, our On This Day in History fact is in 1893, Frances Folsom Cleveland, the wife of President Cleveland, gave birth to the very first baby in the White House. I just love that fact. I think that is just so cool that the first baby born in the White House was on September 9th. 1893. I think that's just so cool. That's just me, though. I hope you guys enjoy these On This Days in History and you kind of think, oh, that's pretty cool. And then maybe one day you'll really, truly remember this crazy fact that Miss Gonzalez told you. So your objectives today is that we will name the 13 original colonies and define the different types of colonies. And then your I will objective will be I will match the 13 colonies with their colony classification. I'm going to read from the Social Studies Weekly for you. That way you can follow along with me. And then we will kind of talk about the 13 colonies and their classifications, and then you'll have your assignment. So let me begin by sharing my screen with you so that you can see what we're reading. All right, so this is your week 3 Social Studies Weekly. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom on in so you can follow along with me a little bit better, and we're gonna start in this first paragraph. The English colonies in America had both failures and successes. Roanoke disappeared. At Jamestown, many things went wrong and many things went right, but it proved that establishing colonies in the New World was possible. Plymouth Colony was a true success story for the people who were determined to find religious freedoms. Back in England, more and more people wanted a chance to add a new life across the Atlantic Ocean. By the middle of the 18th century, there were 13 British colonies along the Atlantic coastline of what would become the United States of America. There were many similarities and differences in the colonies. Let's explore the 3 colony regions. The regions are named for their geographic location. There are the New England colonies, the Middle colonies, and the Southern colonies. So let's start with the New England colonies. The New England colonial region included the Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Hampshire colonies. Most of the people who lived in New England colonies wanted to create communities where they could practice their own religious beliefs freely. Some of the colonists in the region, like the Pilgrims of Plymouth, wanted to separate themselves completely from the Church of England. Other people considered themselves Puritans. They wanted to continue some traditions of the English Church, but they wanted to have the freedom to change or purify others. It was often difficult to live in the New England colonies. Winters in this region were cold and snowy. The icy winters, though, discouraged the growth of germs that caused disease. So many of the New England colonists were healthier than colonists in other regions. Also, in summer, there was plenty of rain that helped crops grow well. The economy in most of the New England colonies was strong. The Rhode Island soil was very good for farming, and corn, tobacco, and beans grew well there. In other parts of the region, the soil was rocky and difficult to farm. In the Massachusetts colony, farming was not as successful. Many colonies in this region made a living by fishing, shipbuilding, or raising animals. Because there were many thick forests in the region, people also worked cutting and selling lumber. Colonists earned money by trading goods as well. Ships carried sugar, wool, and beef to sell back in England. Some colonists found they could make a good deal of money trading enslaved Africans. Very few New England colonists actually owned enslaved people, though. The government of each of these colonies was a representative democracy. Men who were church members could vote in colony elections. This was not true in England. Each year they elected governors and local representatives to help run the colonies. These officials put strict laws into place to protect the people and keep order within the colonies. The Middle colonies. News of economic opportunity in the colonies spread quickly to people still living in Europe. Many of these people jumped at the chance to settle where they might make lots of money. The Middle colonies of New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware filled with people from all over Europe. German, Irish, and English citizens hoped to get wealthy and have religious freedoms. The climate of the Middle colonies was milder than that of the New England colonies. Winters were still cold, but they did not last as long. Summers were hot and rainy. This meant there was a longer growing season because of this, and very fertile, rich soil. Farmers could successfully grow a variety of crops. They farmed wheat, rye, tobacco, corn, and other vegetables. It was also common for indentured servants or enslaved people to help harvest crops in the middle colonies. There was a lot to do for work in the middle colonies. Merchants often traded crops and furs across the Atlantic. They relied on waterways to help ship their goods. Miners dug up iron from the ground to trade, so there were plenty of jobs for anyone willing to work in this region. People in the middle colonies did not have much say about how officials ran their government. In New York, for example, England's royalty appointed a powerful governor. This governor and other officials he chose enforced the law. The Southern colonies. The southern colonies of Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia were both alike and different from the other colonies. Founders of these colonies hoped to discover gold and good land. They wanted to get rich. Settlers founded Maryland to give people who practiced the Catholic religion a safe place to live. One reason colonists settled in Georgia was to keep Spain from moving north from Florida. Georgia was also a safe place for debtors, people who owe money, to live. In England, lawmakers sent people who couldn't pay their bills to prison. In Georgia, the debtors could work and take care of themselves. The southern colonies had mild winters and long hot summers. This was just the right climate for farmers to produce plentiful crops of tobacco, cotton, and rice. They sold these cash crops to make lots of money. Farm owners needed many helpers to tend their large farms called plantations. Over time, many enslaved people worked on these farms. Besides farming, people in the southern colonies earned money by shipping, fishing, cutting lumber, and trading with American Indians. Colonists had limited input into government in these southern colonies. The founders often held great control. After a while, the colonies elected assemblies, but only white men who owned property could vote in the elections. In Georgia, the King of England could revoke or take back any law the assembly passed. So I want you to look at this picture that we have here. This picture is of the 13 colonies, and they are color-coded in the different regions that each colony is. So the New England colonies are north of what the 13 colonies are. And remember that the regions are very easy to remember because they're based on their locations. Now, the New England colonies, they are north, and they consist of New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. The middle colonies, they are in the middle region of the 13 colonies. You have New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. In the southern colonies, which they are south of the 13 colonies, you have Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Give me just a moment to get where I need to be. Thank you. All right. Okay, my friends. So, the 13 colonies is a lot to unpack, but it is the beginning of what our country is today. Now, those 13 colonies, in turn, eventually become 13 states. Now, it is very important that we understand these 13 colonies and we understand what they were able to do, what their climates were like, just because it tells us a lot about our history around that time as well. So for each of those colonies, they had their own type of crops that they were able to harvest depending on how well their soil was. Now, some were better than others, obviously, but they also had downfalls as well, as we just read. Now, the governments were also a different thing. So each colony had a little bit different of a type of government. You had the different types of people. You had the different types of way they work and they make their living. There's just all kinds of different things, but most of them are very similar, but most of them are also very different. And that just kind of leads us into where we will be as we move forward with our history. Excuse me. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this quick little video, and I hope you guys are getting your learning noggins rolling, and I will see you guys next time.